Turn it up. Turn it up.
Dragi gledalci in gledalke, pozdravljeni v 9. ediciji oddaje Ta čudna reč. So, dear viewers, this show today will be live in English. Welcome, dear viewers, dear potential candidates for volunteering experience in Kamnik, in the Youth Center Kotlovnica. My name is Istok, and I'm presently live in our studio, in our youth center, in one of our many editions of the show, This Weird Thing. It's a show that we initiated when the COVID situation became quite intense again in the autumn of 2020, in the autumn of 2020. And we decided it would be interesting that if we have on each Friday, we have a show that speaks a bit, addresses in one way or another this weird thing, which are these COVID circumstances. So in the past shows, we've covered various topics, such as the hero's journey, such as reflecting on one's life through the concept of ikigai. We've already had some interesting guests on the show speaking about having a deeper, more intense contact with oneself and with nature, speaking about their past EVS experiences of going from Slovenia abroad to another country. And today, on today's show, we prepared something special. We have a guest, we will have a guest on our show very soon. Her name is Lily Riedl. She's from, I hope I pronounced her name correctly, she's from Germany, and she used to be an EVS volunteer in Kotlovnica. So a few years back, not that many, she was one of several volunteers who were here in our youth center, and for 10 months she was with us as an EVS volunteer, something that now is an opened opportunity in front of you. If you are listening to us, if you're viewing this video from maybe a showcase from one of our international partners, whom we're inviting to invite some candidates that would come to Kamnik, to our youth center, and have an ESC now. Before it was EVS, now it's ESC, European Solidarity Corps, volunteering service with us in Slovenia. As you can observe also with this show, right now this is something that is an experience that entails a lot of digital action, being connected to young people, to the broader Kamnik local environment through online videos. But of course, as we're all hoping, I'm sure, with the coming of next couple of months, there will be the coming of spring and also opportunities for us to hang out and to develop different activities and different cultural processes and innovations together with also the local youngsters. So with that in mind, we thought, what better way to give you a bit of insight into what it's like to be in Kamnik, what, for those of you who are maybe viewing this, as I already mentioned, from another country, what it's like, what is the opportunity that you might be thinking about taking, the call to adventure to come join us in our youth center in Kamnik, to be a volunteer with us and have a lot of different interesting experiences and challenges for a few months that we would tackle on together. What it's like to go out of your own personal comfort zone and challenge yourself a bit, but of course also have us, the broader team of Youth Center Kotlovnica, with you to mentor you and to debate, to discuss, to develop different ideas of activities together. So that's a bit from me for the beginning of today's show. Right now, my colleague from the studio, from the technical studio, will push forward a short video. But before, and then we'll have with us our guest, Lily. But before that, I would like to mention, like we always do on this show, that we do try to have the show also as interactive as possible. So you are all welcomed. Those of you who are watching this live, so my dear fellow Slovenians from Kamnik, you are all welcome to join us through this Slido platform that you're seeing right here. So you go on slido.com, you type in the code 2020 21 21, and you can share with us some thoughts, some questions that you have for Lily. Lily is she was in Kamnik a few years ago, but she developed such a great attachment, such a great connection to Kamnik that she has been returning every once in a while, and we're always excited to now, since she can't be with us in person, to have her here on the show, and also for you to get a chance to ask her some things, maybe about her EVS experience, or about what it's like right now to be in Germany, who's also experiencing very similar, basically the same challenges, COVID challenges, as we are here in Slovenia. So you're more than welcome to go on this slido.com platform and share with us some questions, some comments that you might have, and I'll be sure to transmit them from you through the platform into our show and to Lily, so that she can address them, and we'll speak to her about them. So you're welcome to give us your feedbacks, and we will be right back in our show in a couple of moments with inviting Lily into our studio. See you soon.
Turn it up. Turn it up.
So, dear colleagues, dear viewers, if you're listening, if you're watching us live, welcome back to the show. If you're seeing this video a bit later as part of an invitation for you to join us in our youth center in Kamnik, also welcome back. I'm gonna stop speaking now because I think I've already done my initial address, and just give the floor to Lily and invite her into the studio, of course, virtually. Lily, welcome.
Hi. Hi, Stan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking the time and for being with us from Germany. Yes.
Yes. From the Baltic Sea.
Oh, so from quite up north.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lily, we invited you, as we spoke before, with an invitation, a call to share with us some interesting, exciting stuff about your experience in Kamnik. As you know, we have both some viewers that are with us live. One gave us already one question, one suggestion, that a request if you could speak a bit about Kamnik people. What was your impression? What is your impression? And some who are viewing this later on as thinking perhaps about coming to us here and joining us in Kamnik as a volunteer. Could you share a bit maybe what that part of maybe being decided, undecided, how was your initial process of before you ultimately decided to take up the call to adventure, to go abroad for, I think you mentioned 10 months, and then decided to come here in Slovenia in our little Kamnik?
Well, I was thinking about going abroad after my A levels for some time, and I searched for different projects, but they always seemed to already have volunteers, or it didn't fit in the end. And then very last minute, kind of, I applied in Slovenia, and it was a great project description. It said gunpowder explosion was the title of the project. So I was I didn't have any doubts at that point. I was like, okay, this sounds interesting, so I'm gonna apply. And then I got the answer that I could go, and I was just very excited. Yeah, then I prepared myself. You asked about Kamnik people as well. I was at first like before going, I googled just to see how it would be like. Googled Kamnik and looked at pictures online. And it just looked like a little, sleepy village, not village, but little town somewhere in the mountains, and approximately the same size as, the town where I'm from. So I was like, okay, it's going to be really nice and really calm. And I didn't expect a lot of young people there. So I was very surprised when I came to Kamnik that indeed there were a lot of young people and a lot of active young people. And, Kotlonica there were always a lot of people hanging around, and there are bars, and there's really, it's much more vibrant than I had expected beforehand.
Was this, you mentioned that particularly when you arrived to Kamnik, you arrived right kind of at the heart of a festival that Kotlonica is preparing each year. Hopefully, I'm thinking almost for sure it will be possible already in 2021 because it's in the summer. Could you mention that festival, and what was it like to just become you were thrown in the water, as one might say, directly?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, beforehand, Jure, who was the mentor of the volunteers back then, or the coordinator, told me that it would be best to arrive beforehand, but I just couldn't make it. So I arrived on the very first day of the festival, and everything was already set up, and everybody was already kind of, everybody knew each other, and that was. So I was basically the last one to arrive. There was a big group of international volunteers as well. This photo is from CamFest 2019, and so you see that I returned every year after that. And my first CamFest was 2015. I arrived, and I was very confused at first because everybody was so busy, and I didn't really. I was very excited to meet everyone, but also there wasn't really time to sit down and talk, and like, this is what you're doing now, and to kind of give me a proper introduction. It was just like, okay, so we're already in this big festival, and it's kind of a lot of tasks and a lot to do. So it was a bit crazy, but it was great as well to immediately make so many connections with people that live there and that I would work with for the coming 10 months as well.
So the idea that maybe we sometimes have in Kamnik, at me being from Kamnik, is that that we're not that we're maybe not so. I mean, I don't know. Are we warm, or are we not warm, as open to new arrivals? What was, thinking about that question, speaking about Kamnik people, what was your like initial impressions? And you mentioned you're coming back almost every year, so I'm guessing they're quite positive.
I felt like I could. It was easy to make friends, also because I was working in Kotlonica, so I met a lot of people, and also the volunteers that I worked with, of course, not only Kamnik people, but there were 3 other volunteers that I worked with and that I lived with, and so I felt very comfortable with them, and also with people in Kamnik. Just I felt very welcomed, and not. I think there was not really like a coldness or anything from anyone really.
Mm. I saw already there was one photo that was shown. You also did. You weren't just. I mean, it look. You mentioned the title of your project was Gunpowder City. Yeah.
Yes.
There was one photo seeing you chopping some wood. You didn't blow anything up, actually, right? On the project. What did you do?
No, we didn't blow anything up, but there's I mean, we were kick this former gunpowder factory. We didn't produce anything there. We were just we were building a model of that whole area, and went around with Anya, who's an architect, and she kind of with her we measured all the buildings and all the whole area just to get an idea. And we had all these big old maps that we took and built the model from. That then was put into the museum. But we had a lot of other little tasks as well, or not so little tasks. It took a week. So the picture that was there chopping wood, that was when we cleaned up the garden behind Kickstarter, and we painted the walls there and kind of made it look nice. So I mean, we volunteers were basically, whenever something was needed around the area, we were there to help, and it was great because we had so many different tasks. There was really, it was always something new.
I'm not sure if this information has reached you yet, but the curious thing is that you were a volunteer here, international volunteer, at the time when there was a lot of these changes being made and new things happening in the, as you said, Smutnišnica, at the gunpowder place. And right now, particularly this year, we're right in front of a process of that whole part that you mentioned behind Kickstarter, being slowly, like there will be processes of transforming that into a kind of new creative district Barutana. So I don't know if this news has reached you yet.
I've heard about it, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting that those who will be potentially our volunteers here will, in some ways, if they'll be interested, they'll also get a chance to have their maybe their small idea projects of innovating something, of how to make really this space something more interesting and vibrant and like culturally appealing. How was it for you? You mentioned it wasn't. It was exciting. It wasn't that demanding.
No, it wasn't. We didn't have like 8 hours of work every day. It was actually not that much. But whenever, I think what made it so rewarding was, as you said, like it's steadily growing. So there's every year there's new things, and I think everybody's so dedicated to making everything work. No festivals were happening in Europe, but Camfest somehow did it, and it was there. So I think it's really great to see that you go there and you work with people who are really into the projects that they're doing, and you're really helping them to put those into action.
Can you can you share with us maybe some however much you're willing, you don't have to go more personal, more far than you feel comfortable with, but some personal insights or some personal transformations that you remember from that time, or that they're maybe still sticking with you from those experiences, so something that made you like we covered this hero's journey idea in the show some time ago, and there's this idea that you go into the unknown and you go through some challenges, but then you come out with a kind of elixir of something new that is possibly also your personal a bit transformation. Could you share something? Did you have something like this that happened to you as well? Were there some moments like this, some shifts?
Well, I don't know if there were like specific moments, but like the whole process, I think like the whole process of a year of being there, just working with people from different places. I think, you know, it just made me. I mean, I was 18 when I went to Slovenia, so I was really quite young. I'm still young, but I really felt like this year really gave me much more confidence, but also made me much more listen to people yeah. I mean, basically, you know, I just left high school, so I just learned to live on my own as well. So there were a lot of things in there as well.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned to me when we spoke that afterwards you went to study psychology.
Yes.
And psychology, and now you're already on your master's degree. You applied in the master's for of also psychology or something different.
I'm doing my master's now in peace and conflict studies. So it's an interdisciplinary field, but I guess, you know, more into the direction of political science. And yeah, I just started in October after finishing my bachelor's last summer.
Your connection to Kamnik, even though now you're continuing your path onwards, it's still remaining, as
Yes.
I understand.
I mean, last year because of COVID, I didn't make it to CamFest, which was I mean, yeah, it was sad for me, but I have after my voluntary service, I continued to go to visit for CamFest, and also in between, just every 3 or 4 months, to just visit Kamnik, visit people again. I also applied for Erasmus in Slovenia as well for next semester. So yeah, I guess I just I also thought about going somewhere else, but then I was like, I could go to this place that I know is great. Why wouldn't I just go again?
Oh, that's so awesome to hear. And I'm also today on the show. I'd like to take the opportunity to then ask you like some of your thoughts on being having graduated bachelor's in psychology and working now on peace and conflict studies. Some thoughts on the present situation and what it's like in Germany. But before we go into that, just to conclude the topic of the EVS, or now it's called ESC, what would be? Do you have maybe some thoughts, or if you imagine yourself before thinking about going to this experience, we'll quite possibly share this video, as I already mentioned before, to some who might be considering this. Would you have some thoughts for them, maybe if this video will reach them, about what things how to prepare for such an experience? What are things I can imagine it's not always just, it's not all rosy. There are also difficult moments in such an experience, especially for a few months if you go. Could you share that part a bit with us as well?
Yeah, so I can share from something that we talked about as volunteers. Like there were like two volunteer meetings during the year that I was in Slovenia, of all the volunteers who stayed there for the year. And at the first one, they told us about the culture shock, like that's after a while, when it's, you know, it's all great, then there will come the culture shock, and it won't all be so great anymore, and you'll be devastated. And I have to say I didn't have that, but I think it's great to be prepared for it anyways. I think, I mean, as I said, I was really lucky with the with all the 3 girls that I lived with, who really were like family to me. And I mean, Kamnik, as I said, I really like it there. So I didn't really have a culture shock. But yeah, as I said, it's great to be prepared for, as well as when you come back from your voluntary service, that's, you come back and everything stayed the same. As I came back to Germany, and everyone else around me just went on with their lives, and I had this feeling of I had this such a great year, and everything, or a lot of things changed for me. It was a process of reintegrating almost, and so it was like a down phase after the voluntary service, definitely. And I think there's also, even if you can't really avoid it, it's great to be prepared for, so you're not totally shocked or think you're all alone with that feeling.
Mm-hmm. So that, it is the kind of, I can imagine personally. I didn't have a chance to have such an experience. That's why I'm always more and more interested in hearing about other peoples who had this. That there are periods, times when there are ups and there are downs also in such an experience, and that it's good to be prepared for those, and especially like you mentioned, after the end, when you're all full of energy and so on, and then you come to the like in the hero's journey, the hero, after going to an unknown world, returns to the normal world, but the normal world isn't perceived as the same way being normal as it was before.
Exactly.
Was it how did you, if I may ask only this one more question about this topic, the connections that you had at home when you went abroad, when you came to Slovenia? Did you stay in contact through, I don't know, through Skype or through phone calls with your people at home?
Yes, mostly with, a lot of other friends went on to study. One friend also from school went to do an au pair in Canada, and I stayed in contact with a couple of them, but mostly also with my family through Skype, because my sisters were quite young then. They must have been 5 and 7, I think. I'm not sure anymore, but they were quite small then still. So it was quite important for me to stay in contact with them as well. Even though I went home for Christmas for 2 days, and that was it, because I really wanted to, enjoy my time that I had in Slovenia. But it was definitely great to, it was great to have this opportunity to go on Skype and contact them. As hard as it is to believe right now that we are all, surrounded just by Zoom, but yeah, it was quite helpful.
Mm-hmm. It could that homesick feeling could be addressed also.
Yeah, I had that later on, like when I was studying far away from my family. I had that more. In Slovenia, it was mostly like I knew that it was for this set period of time, and after that I would come back home. So I didn't really, I didn't really feel homesick, because I was like, I'm here now, and I really want to cherish the time that I have here. And after I will be back anyways, so it wasn't that hard for me.
Mm. And now I can imagine now, like in this situation, as we are right now, through Zoom or through Restream, it's anyhow, we're all encouraged to stay at a safe enough distance, and to basically, except from our household, to just be in contact, if at all possible, only in this way. This is the way it is right now in Slovenia. We're still in, I think we went from black to red scenario just today. So it's still quite, there's no hanging out allowed. We're still waiting for situations to improve. How is it in Germany right now, and how are your experiences as a young person in Germany presently?
Well, yeah, I mean, I started my master's right in the middle of it all. So then it was still, at least I was able to meet with a couple of people that I study with now in the park. Now I think it's just allowed to meet with one other person, like one other person from another household somewhere. I mean, at least that. So, but yeah, so you can meet one other person, and otherwise, university everything is online now. In autumn, we had some. I still had some classes in person, but now everything there's like work is still allowed, encouraged to work in home office, but yeah, it will continue until the middle of February. This like yeah, lockdown. It's not like a lockdown like that you can't go out for a walk, but you know, you're still not supposed to go anywhere. So yeah.
So essentially, from what I'm hearing from you, we have a very similar situation in Slovenia.
Yeah, I mean,
and
expectable. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I said that's expectable in the current
Yeah,
situation.
it's like literally we're all in this together kind of a scenario.
Yeah.
So do you keep in contact now with your colleagues, with your friends, also like this through Zoom? I'm thinking how right now in this circumstance, which hopefully in February, May, March, April they will change, but for now maybe even it's not that different to live basically together with your friends in the same city, or if you're somewhere on an international experience and you're anyhow in the same kind of contact.
Yeah, I'm more in contact with my friends in Germany because it's I also am sometimes in contact with my international friends, but I just find it hard right now to stay in contact when it just makes my heart ache that I will not be able to see them for a long time. I know that, you know, my German friends, I will be able to see soon at least. Encouraging that I don't know when I can see them again.
Oh, sorry, just to check with you, Lily. We had a bit of a for a short period of time bad reception, but I think we're seeing and hearing you well now. Can you see and hear me as well?
Yes, I can see and hear you well. I hope it's working
Okay.
again.
Okay. It is. It's getting better. It's getting back to being better. So you mentioned the hard times. It's difficult when you can be like in contact normally, but like this. What are some of your thoughts? I mean, you studied psychology. I also studied psychotherapy. So like this situation, it's difficult, but it's also in a way difficult, challenging, and also interesting to think about. What are some of just to ask you about some of your impressions, and what makes it all that much more difficult? I think when we talk about this, it becomes easier for everyone that we know that we really are in the same boat of difficult experiences right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's different for everyone, but for me, it's especially hard to think about that the friends I made now in October in university, I've never hugged them before. And that's so odd because usually, you know, you hug friends, and I think that's really a thing that's missing, like physical touch, just having a hug with people. That's I think it's really hard for a lot of people right now to live like this, especially also, you know, if you other aspects as well, if you have to stay at home with little children and you have to care for them but have to do home office next to it. Yeah, I think it's quite challenging for a lot of people right now.
And it's it is understandable that right now we're experiencing a kind of situation where, because of the kind of general frustration and maybe anxiety, that emotions are more difficult to contain right now and to simply handle. At least that would be my impression and experience as well. That it really takes a bit of kind of almost, we're challenged to detach from ourselves a little bit, and just take a little bit extra time and focus to digest any kind of really situations. I don't know if you'd agree, or if you maybe have some thoughts also on that, that
Yeah,
you're thinking about.
yeah, I think also, yeah, it's for me, before the lockdown, or before any, COVID restrictions, let's say, not only in the lockdown, but I was dancing every evening, and I was seeing my friends, and that was really one thing that I was looking forward to, just going to see my friends, and go to jazz events, jazz dance events. Um, and now that's gone, and I sometimes I'm like, okay, now work all the day. What do I look forward to? It's kind of, I think it just takes away like one, like part of our basic needs to be in social contact with people. So yeah, I'm kind of always torn between, like, I just want to work all day because I don't have anything else really to do, and on the other hand, I need time out to go for walks and whatever. Yeah, but I think it doesn't really is not exchangeable for social exchange, I think.
Mm-hmm. You did mention, I remember, however, when we spoke, you did mention that you found one, I found it to be an awesome way of kind of keeping active, motivating yourself, a challenge that you mentioned, something like this, particularly regarding dancing that you just spoke about. Can you share with us, I mean, in this show, we're trying to also come up with some ideas of how do we all remain active, motivated, and keep going, waiting for that opportunity to arrive to satisfy our real, as you mentioned, basic needs of social contact. But there are some innovative ways of how to keep going. Could you share that, what you told me before, about a challenge connected to dancing?
Yeah, so I was, as I said, I used to dance a lot, and then all the restrictions came, and I continued because I was like, okay, just gonna get through this, and then there will be social dancing again, and then that didn't happen so fast. So I got really discouraged, and I didn't have much motivation to dance anymore. But then I saw this challenge, which is called Jazzerary, and it's just dancing solo jazz, which is it's a dance that's originated in the 20s, 30s, 40s. It's an African American dance, and it's really I mean, people usually I was dancing partner dancing, but that's not possible right now, so I switched to that. And I saw this challenge. I was like, okay, this could motivate me to dance again, because it's just little things every day to you get like a prompt that you have to that gives you some idea to dance, and then you can upload a video, but you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just for the month of January. And I started that, and it was really great, because you see all those other people that take part in the challenge, and it's kind of a way to, even though you don't see each other in person, to feel connected a little bit to other people in the scene, and not only take classes and see all the professional dancers, but also just dance your little amateur dances and have fun together in a little, like in a good way. Yeah, it really does motivate me.
And the challenge is to like really do it every day, right? Something like this.
the challenge would be to do it every day, but they also
Yeah.
said in the beginning, because it's still lockdown, you will have bad days. So
Yeah.
I also I skipped for a couple of days in between, also because of the stress of university. But I think it's still great because I can always go back to it, and I'm already happy that I for the time that I spent dancing in January now, because of this challenge that I wouldn't have before. Like, it doesn't even matter if I dance all the days or not. Like, it made me dance, so that's great, and share with other people.
So, Lily, we just because we already had a bit of this conversation before we went in on the show. So we did, for those of you who are watching live, for those of you who are not seeing this later on YouTube, we put up as always a bit of well, it's not really a question, but a task right now to you on Slido. Like always, that we invite you to check out. Right now, we're inviting you to come to slido.com. Type in here the code. No, it's over there. I think it's over there. The code. Code's 2020 21 21, or in Slovenian 2020 21 21. And the question that we put up, the task actually, is that we're asking you. We would be really interested to hear from you some ideas about some either more or less viral challenges that you know of, that can maybe be of interest to others, that we could share through channels of Kotlovnica. Some challenges that are, okay, in this weird thing that we're experiencing. Here is a challenge that people are together developing, and to encourage each other and motivate ourselves, all of us, to be active and to do something. I think it's always is good. I think that's my personal view. I will speak as a psychotherapist now. If you're not if we do not dare ourselves to be a little bit crazy, then we have a problem. That's my professional view. That it can be difficult if we are psychologically challenged in broader ways, but if we don't allow ourselves. If we don't allow ourselves a bit of craziness and a bit of challenges like this, then maybe we do need a bit more of loosening up in our livelihoods. So this is something that when we spoke with Lily, we thought this might be an interesting idea to invite you and to get some more ideas and some more opportunities like the one that Lily just mentioned that she found. Lily, really, thank you for this. This is something that, like, even though we think about such things in Kotlovnica, like how to bring up more interactive content and things that are appealing and that can motivate us all, and to forward also to our local community. I have to, completely honestly, this has not yet been brought up in our conversations, so I think it's a great idea. Thank you for that. Lily, I see that we're closing. I mean, we're nearing the point where we usually end our broadcast. So, if there's something else that maybe you are interested in or would like to share with us, I would invite you to do it now before we say goodbye to our viewers. Some final words.
Sorry, the connection was just really bad, but I think you asked me for some final words, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. If you have the chance to go to Kamnik as a volunteer, if you're watching this, do it. You will not regret it.
I think those are, like, personally, awesome words to wrap up our conversation. And thank you again, Lily, for being with us. As I understand, we also have one brief video of you from this challenge of with you dancing that you shared with us, that you also shared on Instagram. So we will roll this as the finale of our broadcast. And I don't know what to say except that I hope that soon there will be another opportunity for us to meet also in person, for you to come to Kamnik live, not just through Zoom, and that yeah, we see each other also.
I hope so too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Lily. And dear viewers, thank you for being with us. For those of you who are, as mentioned before, who are with us live, the Slido we initiated is waiting for your content. We're really eager to hear, to listen to hear about some interesting challenges that maybe you know of that you'd be willing to share with us. I know that right now I could probably govoriti tudi po slovensko, ker vas vabim v živo, tiste, ki nas spremljate, ampak bom to conclude in English as well. Those of you who are on a YouTube, maybe, that you're viewing this from another country, our partner organization that is inviting you to an EVS opportunity. I should correct myself, an ESC, European Solidarity Corps opportunity, has shared with you. We hope to hear from you soon and to get a chance to meet you in person as well, like we did Lily, and we hope to have an interesting time together developing interesting project ideas and activities that will help us improve our local environment and also the digital arena of all sorts of content that is right now available online. Wishing you a nice evening, wonderful weekend ahead, and from Kotlonica, out.